Intwine Connect and our smart food service solutions for schools. So hopefully this will be an insightful talk for everyone, and we can all learn a little bit about Intwine and what we can do to help school districts across the state of Ohio. So a quick introduction to Intwine, maybe not a household name, but a company that is headquartered here in the state of Ohio. We have offices, our headquarters is out in Chagrin Falls on the east side of Cleveland. We also have offices out in Warren, Ohio, our lab space and logistics center. And then we have engineering offices actually on the campus of Case Western Reserve University. So a local company designing, developing, managing technology, and really dedicated to the state of Ohio, and really focusing a lot of our solutions on working with the state of Ohio, districts in Ohio, and making sure that we're working strongly in our home ground here. So a quick introduction to myself, Jim Basar. I am a senior product manager here with the company. Been with Intwine for about 8 years now, and really focus on our broadband as well as our IoT, so Internet of Things solutions. And I've worked really closely with our engineering team to design some solutions that I think are great fits for the school and school district base. So quick introduction to the agenda here. So we're going to walk through our dedication to Ohio, our food service solutions. I'm going to give you an overview of what they are, how they work, how they can help you, walk through a demonstration of that portal, and then I will also do a quick walkthrough at the very end of distance learning and what we've done in that space as well, just in case there are any kind of layover interests. I know that a lot of schools have their strategies in place there, but we've done a lot of work in that space, and would love a chance to work with anyone that still has some availability there. Last thing to mention, please use the chat for questions. So as we go here, if any questions do pop up, feel free to type them in there. I'll see them in real time. I'll try to address them as best as I can, and we'll keep going on from there. So getting right into the solution. So our dedication to Ohio that I had mentioned, we have worked with a few dozen school districts in the state of Ohio, have plenty of references and plenty of different types of projects that we put together with each of these school districts. Everything from our first school district work was with Nordonia High School here in the Cleveland area. We worked with them at the beginning of the pandemic to connect some of their special needs students, got them LTE routers for their distance learning activities. We were able to work very quickly because of the local proximity, and actually Verizon did a very nice spotlight on us that'll we'll send out in one of the follow-up emails that come out here on our solution, how we were able to work together. We also have worked with a number of districts here in Northern Ohio, Columbus, and as well as Southern Ohio, on everything from home routers for internet for students, distance learning solutions there, routers for buses, and then everything that we're going to talk about here is really kind of focused on the food service solution. So with that, I'll get right into it. This is what Intwine does. So we manufacture an LTE router that has some special sauce to it that allows us to connect to different devices within a facility, within a cafeteria. So the highlighted green solutions here is what I'm really going to talk about quite a bit on this call. That includes cold storage monitoring, so the monitoring for refrigeration. So these are probe sensors that go inside of coolers and are there to monitor swings in temperatures, the functionality of the compressors, leaving doors open, things like that, really making sure that we can provide a safe food service operation for each of our locations. I'll also get into some of our pandemic response solutions. So what we've done is we've also very quickly integrated some devices that are really in response to the current pandemic, automatic notifications and monitoring of fevers, as well as hand hygiene, so hand soap and hand sanitizer. We also have quite a bit of other solutions that I wanted to make sure I mentioned. If anything piques your interest, feel free to reach out to us about it. We've done a lot of work in the past with energy management, lighting projects, leak detection. You can read them off here, air quality, as well as DERMS. That is probably not a common acronym, but it's demand response. So working with connected panels, with solar panels, with battery storage, and really working with larger buildings on reducing their energy footprints. So as I mentioned here, this is really our solution. So we're going to put hardware into your cafeterias that are wirelessly connected sensors that connect to our smart building controller here, and then up through a user interface application. So you'll be able to have a single view where you can log in, see all of your sensors in the field, all of your buildings, and set up notifications so that you can really keep hold and keep track of what's going on at all your different buildings, whether you're there or not. And that's one of the big keys, is whether you're there or not. I know that during the pandemic here, even if you are in a distance learning scenario, a lot of schools are still offering meals, still have food service employees on location there. But one thing that we've seen is that during things like breaks from school, so during things like Christmas break, Thanksgiving break, summer break, when there is still food inventory at the school, but there's not necessarily employees on site, schools have lost a lot of inventory during those times. We give you that visibility so that you're able to send an employee or contact someone that is on site that day to make sure you remediate any issues, and you don't walk in from a nice long weekend and have a cooler full of spoiled milk. So we'll start here with our temperature sensing solution. You can see it's made up of two components. So that is a temperature probe, as well as a door open close sensor. So what we do with this, it's a very easily retrofittable solution. So you don't have to rip out your coolers and freezers and upgrade them. This puck goes on the outside of the refrigerator. It communicates wirelessly. It's also battery powered. So the batteries are going to last you probably about 9 to 12 months is what we usually get on a battery life. So definitely a full school year, usually a full calendar year. It depends on signal strengths and things like that, but we do have notifications to let you know anytime it's running low. And then this temperature probe here is able to be placed through the door jamb, and the probe is placed on the inside of the cooler to monitor the temperature on the inside. So we're monitoring the temperature on the inside, and then we're connecting wirelessly to our router. The door open close sensor here, what that does is that allows us to monitor the door and understand if there's an issue with the cooler, or if there's an issue that someone just left the door open. So it gives us that extra level of visibility into that system to make sure that we're sending you the right type of notification and telling you exactly what's happening with your system. So this solution, it can be placed in any type of cooler or freezer. We've worked with many school districts on this solution. I will walk through the user interface and show kind of how the notifications are set up and everything. But really what we're looking at here, the drivers are loss prevention. That's the biggest driver, making sure that all of your stored food inventory is staying safe and is not going to be lost to leaving a door open or a cooler failure. Obviously, the other added benefit is that you're constantly monitoring that service. So with that constant monitoring, you're also able to automatically have your compliance reports. So all the data that gets sent to our portal is all downloadable. No more using pencils and taping a sheet of paper to the outside and looking at the temperature. It's all constantly monitored and logged there. The second solution is fever screening. So you can see here, pretty standard contactless forehead thermometer. The special piece of our solution is that this contactless forehead thermometer is also Bluetooth enabled, and it also connects into our system. So every time you take a temperature with it, it is recorded, logged, and sent out in a daily or weekly report. So what we're doing is enabling you to understand if and when there is a fever, when it was detected, and automatically be notified that there was a temperature that was out of the range. Our standard range, I think, is 100.7, just the standard fever rating. Anytime that happens, automatic email and text notifications are sent out. We've seen these used in cafeterias for employees. We've seen it used for just general staff. We've also seen it used for students themselves. So with the athletic teams, or as students are coming into the building, making sure that you're taking and monitoring temperatures. Again, it is anonymized data, so it's coming up, it's a temperature and a timestamp. So it doesn't technically become a health record, which is something that also helps. But it gives you that recorded log that says at 9 a.m. when my students were coming in, or when my employees were coming in at 7 a.m., I took 20 temperatures and got 20 temperatures that were not fever rated. So that's been a very, very big driver, and something that just allows kind of oversight onto what's happening. So you know that these temperatures are being taken and you have that backup. Lastly here is hand hygiene monitoring. So we formed a partnership with a local company, Gojo. They are the company behind the brand Purell. So we have established a partnership with them for hand sanitizer as well as hand soap. Again, the special part of our solution is that these dispensers that you see here are all connected. So they are wirelessly connected and monitored. And what that allows you to do is understand when and how often people are washing their hands or sanitizing their hands, especially in a cafeteria. We're able to send out those weekly and daily progress reports on how often hand washing is being leveraged and at what time. We're also constantly monitoring the inventory in these, so the actual soap and sanitizer level. So we're going to send you a notification anytime that your sanitizer is getting low or your soap is getting low, so you can make sure that that's available to your employees, your staff, and your students. With that, I will jump into a quick demonstration of our remote management portal here. So this is the user interface that you will leverage to monitor your systems and locations. This is our demo portal that we have set up at our offices out in Warren. So we have 2 of our systems in there, our wirelessly connected systems with, they all have cellular modems in them as well. So you don't have to deal with your IT department and getting them online. These are completely separate networks. They don't mess with any SIPA or point of sale regulations. We are able to completely segment this network of devices and monitor them all side by side, just a drop-in solution that's very easy to install. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to go to My Places. This is where our demo office is at. You could see I have 5 devices. If I had more locations, you would see them in a grid here. You can also look at a map view if you have multi-locations. For example, I'll get into a success story that we had with Southwestern City Schools down in the Columbus area. But what we have there is 31 locations. So you can see all of their locations. You can see the pinpoints, and you can see this one is green, which means there's nothing wrong at this location. If this pinpoint was red, that would mean there's an active notification at that location. You can also see a historic view of a log of activities. So you can see today we were able to take some temperatures. We did simulate a fever by warming up one of our foreheads and taking a temperature there. So you could see the historic log of every type of notification that we have. But you can also get into each individual location, which is what I'll do next here. As I click on this building, you're going to be able to see your food safety, your healthy entry, and your hand hygiene. So food safety here is the cooler temperature. You can view a history of that cooler. We opened the door for a while to show a notification here, but what you can see is day, week, month, and forever. You can see that this is a very, very consistent cooler. It's constantly reporting the same temperature. In some coolers, you'll see defrost cycles and things. This happens to be a wine cooler, so it just keeps it very, very consistent. when we open the door, you can see that large spike in temperature. That also sent out a notification when that spike happened. I have it actually here on my cell phone. I got a local notification. So it's a text message notification. I'll show it here. That tells me exactly that notification happened, where it happened, when it happened. Also, the same type of notification goes out via email, can go out to any number of users, and can be segmented so that certain locations go to certain users. With that, we can also show the notification settings. So these are one-time settings that you go in and set up based on each cooler or freezer. Intwine also has a service that we offer where we can work with you, find the best settings, and really tune those down so that you're only getting alerts when actual events have happened. You can see here, notify when we go above or below a temperature, and then also when it has a low battery or if it ever goes offline. For the healthy entry, we can see the fever check here. So this again is the thermometer. I can see a list of all the temperatures we've taken. So it's a daily list. You can see everyone hovers around this 97, 98 degrees. And then you can see fevers that we've simulated pretty high up here. You can see some temperatures that were taken today. You can also download this into a CSV at any time, or else it can be sent out nightly in a report. Again, notifications here. So if the temperature is above 100.4, if it has a low battery, or if the device is ever offline. For the hand hygiene, you'll notice very similar here. View the history. You can see every time the hand soap was used. So it was used 12 times. It was used once in the 9 o'clock hour. If I go further out here, you can see basically weekly how often the hand soap was used. I promise this isn't in our restroom or our food services. This is over in a demo area. So every time we're walking by and just using some soap or sanitizer. We also have the notifications here. So whenever it needs a new refill or whenever the device goes offline. So that's a basic overview of our system here. What we want to do with our portal is make it so that we can go in, we can set up notifications, monitor our systems, but then we want it to really be hands-off for you. You don't want to have a portal that you're constantly having to log into, monitor, check on things. We really want it to be notification-based. So you're only going into this portal and monitoring these systems if you're getting that text message or if you're getting that email that says that something's wrong. So that's really the intention of everything here, is to give you an easy way to navigate through everything and to monitor your systems. You could also see just a list of all of your devices here. The only thing that wasn't shown there was the door open close. You can also set a notification if the door is open for X number of minutes. So if you have a rule in your cafeteria that the door should be open and shut every time, or if you have an issue with staff that maybe during restocking or during the breakfast hour, they leave the door open the whole time while they're going in and out when they really should be shutting it each time. This is going to give you that visibility to make sure that you're able to show that they are either having or out of compliance. Jump back to my presentation here. Two last things. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I want to talk about two success stories that we have here. Southwestern City Schools, again, 31 buildings. We were able to put our temperature monitoring solution into each one. They really needed a standalone temperature monitoring solution. They have a walk-in refrigerator and a walk-in freezer at each location. We put 2 sensors in each, and then 2 sensors at each location, 1 in each cooler. We were able to put those 2 sensors into the location, put our router in. They now have real-time monitoring in all of their coolers and freezers. They were also able to leverage the temperature swing data as well as the door open close sensors to reach out to some of their locations that were exactly like I mentioned, leaving doors open while they were prepping or while the staff was busy. they didn't want to be opening and shutting that door. They were leaving it open for half hour, hour at a time, where it wasn't drastic swings in temperature, but it was raising the temperature 10 to 15 degrees for 1 to 1.5 hours, which is impacting the food that's within that cooler. It might not be out of an FDA regulation, but it is something that should be mitigated. They also have a staff that's able to go around whenever there are issues and proactively work on those issues rather than just losing coolers of food at the time. Another success story I wanted to show was Case Western Reserve University, local research university. Many or all of you are probably familiar. We do have offices on campus. We also work with their food service department. We have our temperature monitoring solution at every single one of their locations. We're monitoring all their refrigerators and coolers, and we're also doing fever screenings with them at one of their restaurant locations that is essentially run by student workers. So they have real-time monitoring in all their coolers and freezers. We've been able to catch a number of coolers that have gone out of range. They have some outdoor coolers as well, where we've been able to detect swings in temperatures where they're going up to 75 degrees in the summer. And we've been able to solve all that with them, refine some of their coolers. And in this case, we've actually been able to adjust some of the set points and help them reduce their energy costs. So some of their freezers were floating around negative 15 degrees. We've been able to raise those temperatures up to, that negative 50 where they should be, and save them some money on having their compressors running too often there. So a couple of local success stories. Case, obviously a very well-regarded university here in the area. Southwest Schools, I think, is the 4th largest district in the state, and some kind of glowing success stories. And if you guys do have interest in our solutions, we encourage you to reach out. We encourage you to respond to the follow-up email that we'll send out, or reach out to me directly. I'm happy to engage, happy to work with you, happy to put you in touch with any of these reference customers that we have if you do have any questions on what type of value they're able to pull from the system. But I think I'm going to check and see if we have any questions. I didn't see any come in while we were live. It looks like we have about 3 minutes left here. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to submit them in the chat here. If not, I'm going to run through distance learning real quick here, just to give a snapshot of what we're doing in that space. Let me here. So our LTE routers, they are business class hotspots essentially for up to 10 users. So we have been able to really strip down our service offering and send these out to students. We have them in about 1,000 student homes right now, across somewhere between 15 and 20 districts. So we do have the scale to be able to put out a lot more routers out into the field. They are $286 for a router. That's a purchase price. It is eligible for CARES funds. So you're leveraging all of the business class features that we've put into this router and applying them to a home setting. Some of the things we're able to do: customize the SSID and password, which means, for example, with Nordonia, it was Nordonia Net was the name of the network that they wanted, and it was Go Nights 123. So we're able to make it simple so that the students can log into these devices easily, remember the passwords. We're also able to lock it down so that they can only connect their school-issued devices to these systems. We also activate and test the units. We can bulk ship them to your school location, or we can even direct ship them to students if that's something that you would like to leverage our services for. Same thing, the remote management portal there. You can manage your LTE routers through that portal as well. So with that, I am going to show our schools here, some of the schools that we've worked with. Looks like we do have one question here. With your monthly subscription for sensors, does that include data charges for the cellular that they use, or do they need to use our district's plan? Do you work with both AT&T and Verizon? So a couple of questions there that I'll answer. With the monthly subscription for the sensors, all data is actually included in that. So there's not a need to set that up on the district plan. We do have partnerships with both AT&T and Verizon for the data subscriptions. So we can leverage either carrier. With the sensors, we wrap everything in. For the distance learning programs, the school district would have to leverage their own data plan for that, simply because it's a lot of routers and it's a lot of data. With the sensor subscriptions, we're able to wrap that all into a nice package. For the distance learning, school districts can get some very aggressive unlimited data plans and are able to kind of leverage those plans to move forward and in a more cost-effective way.